soul, with yourself. I did some deep meditation this morning to say, what is it that needs to be communicated, and as to what do we need to do to empower ourselves to be who we really are. And what came is that so many people, maybe most, have lost their connection with their guide, with their presence within, because the word God has been trashed so much as this and that and this and that. But for many people, it's something outside that's riding maybe on a spaceship. It's going to come from the sky. It's going to come down. Again, your whole world is in your mind. And all you really know and have is who you are. But you have your source, your partner within. And when people lose their connection with our beloved, our source, by saying that doesn't exist, it's just, but that's not even intelligent, because what are you, some free-floating thing, when we all have the same in common, and yet we're all individuals and each a unique sovereign being in that sense. But when you lose your connection with your source, your partner, your beloved, you don't know what to do. So we're jerked around by this story and that story and this story and that story, and trying to figure it out through mental speculation. You cannot figure anything out by material or mental speculation, because you're analyzing and figuring from basically, and reasoning from what you have been taught to believe is true about the world, about what's happening, instead of the only connection you really have is with your God presence, which is completely even beyond this material universe and the material world. So just take a look. You see what happens, people become jaded, because when you find so many ugly things that have happened in religion, and that religion per se used to control and manipulate and program people, and to give their power to someone who says they are God's representative on earth, you'd have to say, well, who's God? And what's your God like? Well, vengeful, angry, blood, all of this that has nothing at all to do with us. Other than we have, when you lose your connection with yourself, you also lose connection with nature. That's why it's so important, and it's like, it's so great, here at the lake, and it's icy, and it changes, and the weather changes, and to listen. And I would suggest you do some soul searching, and because, what is it I used to tell people, souls aren't saved in pairs because your husband does it or your wife does it. Like people say, oh, my wife gave. Well, what are you giving? Nothing? You mean that has something to do with you? We are individuals, and we're also a collective. But yet, we don't want to identify with the collective, because when you identify with humanity, you identify with this race, you identify with that religion, you identify with that nationality, you identify with the neighborhood you live in. This is all local traffic. It's temporary. It's made up. And if you want to have what's real, because I'll tell you something, you're eternal and you cannot die, but you could suffer. And there is an end to suffering when you understand the cause. And when you observe and how much chaos and how even with people, so few people are connected with themselves, with their God presence, the divine mother or father, my friends, my beloveds, my partner. There's no words to describe you or your partner, but when you know that connection, you live in a state of the miraculous, the magnificent, the mystical, the divine. and you witness. And people say, well, good to do me, everybody else. That had nothing to do with you. You're an eternal being, and you're deciding by your choices in every single moment, and who you're looking to as your authority. When you look to these people who basically you get a PR firm to make you an authority, and then you say you have to give your power to them because they know more about you than you know about yourself. Well, that's probably true, but they don't know about who you are spiritually because they don't have that consciousness, you see. And the key is that right where you are, the power of the divine is there, the presence. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to go to some amusement park. You don't have to get on, all these technology things. I know we're using them, but we got to use them for good in order to return to self. And and to return means to turn again. But then again, we don't want to keep turning around and around in this recycling mode of reincarnation into the same scenario over and over again, called history repeating itself, his story. So are you believing stories that people tell you? Getting all, who's this, it's like, to thine own self be true. Sounds really like a good idea. And now it's like, if you reconnect with your God presence, and we're gonna do more on this, but this is to really know that you are loved and protected, you are enriched, all that you could desire is with you and is who you are. Yes. So do some soul searching. Reconnect. Start talking to your God within. Forget all these people say, oh, there is no God and there is no... Hey, there's a whole bunch of gods. We're like little mini gods. But what does that mean? God means you lord it over everybody and you tell everybody what to do. No. Even in the very last of the Bhagavad Gita book, the divine says, hey, I just told you what my opinion is, but do what you want. You see. So why would you or anyone weaken themselves by disconnecting from the source of all and with you now?